ancestors embarked on bold journeys to distant lands to explore trade. They sought treasures beyond imagination, yet faced challenges in conducting efficient trade. Over time, as humans evolved, so did trading and investments.
GTN stands out as a fintech reshaping the world of trade and investments as a platform with cutting-edge technology and operational capabilities. Our vision is to make investment opportunities accessible across the globe. We see a world where anyone can invest anything, anytime. We realize our vision through cutting-edge technology, offering seamless worldwide access to a vast array of instruments on multiple international exchanges. We are proud of our seasoned professionals with decades of experience delivering our purpose with passion. GTN is a global fintech leader, leveraging technology for unmatched performance and setting new industry trends. We embrace change as a constant and take great pride in our unwavering commitment to creativity and innovation. Diversity fuels our culture of competitiveness, creativity, and innovation. Our global footprint, spanning multiple locations around the world, is the cornerstone of our remarkable diversity. Our transparency, professionalism, ownership, and equality form a strong foundation as our core values to be what we are today and shape our future. At GTN Tech, we believe impossible is a choice.
Well, an accomplished American computer scientist, Fei Li, once said, "Artificial intelligence is not a substitute for human intelligence. It is a tool to amplify creativity and ingenuity." So that means AI is like a helper to our brains, not a replacement. So as we talk about AI and its role in the future of IT, let's keep this in mind. AI is here to make our lives easier and help us do amazing things. So it's like having a super smart assistant by our side, ready to help us solve problems and come up with new ideas. A very good morning and a grand welcome to the session Navigating the AI-Driven Future of IT, brought to you by none other than the Global Head of Shared Services and CEO of GTN Technologies Sri Lanka, Mr. Arjuna Nanayakkara. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. So if we talk about this remarkable individual's experience in this field of interest, we might have to dedicate a separate session for that, because for that itself. But however, I will be stating some of the contributions and experiences he has witnessed in his corporate career. So Mr. Arjuna Nanayakkara is the CEO of GTN Technologies Sri Lanka and the Global Head of Shared Services of the GTN Group. And he is a pioneer in building exceptional leadership teams and transforming organizations over the past 2 decades by formulating corporate and business strategies based on operational excellence, product engineering, business development, and corporate restructuring. He's also a management accountant by profession, a marketer, and qualified in computer science, design, and engineering, and he has also held strategic leadership and operational roles in financial services, information technology, retail, leisure and hospitality, and property development industries over the years. In addition to that, some of his corporate responsibilities include Mr. Arjun is a director of Slascom and also Trace Expert City, a board member of the Council for Business with Britain, and an industry advised board member of the SLTC Research University. Enough said, there's more, but for now, let us get on with the exciting session on how to navigate through an AI-driven future in information technology. The floor is all yours, Mr. Arjuna. Can we have a round of applause to Mr. Arjuna Nanayakkara?
So, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to do this. You have to roll the slides, okay? I got that. That's quite a lengthy introduction about me. But why I'm here is because I'm a product of free education in Sri Lanka. So with million things that I have during the day, I thought this is a bit of payback for me. I happened to be in Sri Lanka for a few months, and time was right. It was a Friday, and my HR team just threw it into me saying, why don't you go and do something worthwhile, okay? So I thought this is investment in the future generation of this industry. I strongly believe if you are getting benefits of free education, right? Most of my engineers and employees, we have about 350. Most of them are from free education. And we can't just take something from a system and not give it back. I strongly advocate that. So I'm here. Thanks for that introduction, but purely on my thought process, that's the main reason why I'm here, okay? So we'll make it very interactive. You got to ask questions. I hope there is, Sri Lankan people I've noticed, they like to type things, send chits. They don't really raise hand and ask, right? Whatever you do, you better ask questions because you have about 45 minutes of my time. If these slides are not useful, somebody can send a chit saying, why don't you talk about something else? I'll switch the topic, okay? I'm capable of doing that. So, because I believe most of you know what artificial intelligence is, okay? If I try to come and preach that in front of all of you, probably most of you will give me back certain models and theories where you have better specific knowledge on configuration management of those tools than me, right? So keep that in mind. Everybody knows what artificial intelligence is. You guys have used it for years and years without knowing. The difference in this, shall we roll the slides? So the difference in this is, suddenly it became a hot topic in the world, right? Because of ChatGPT, right? Until that, people didn't really focus on this. It was not a very generic thing. But I'm going to talk about a few of those, so let's roll the slides forward. So, anybody who's living in this space, you better understand this graphic, right? That's a stepping stone of where you need to focus on this whole topic, okay? People get confused. They like to land here as ambition. This neural networking, that artificial piece, right? People want to land here. But not everybody can land here straight. Understand that as a capability metrics in your individual competencies and opportunities you get in life, okay? So the biggest game for most of us is in the data science space, right? That's why you get a lot of products in the data science field because that forms a foundation for this whole thing because you need data to bring artificial intelligence to light, okay? Then you get into a lot of artificial intelligence-based development, design of products, right? You get a lot of careers there. Machine learning, deep learning, neural networking, right? Even this, you can split it into two, right? In life, there is the king and the kingmaker. There are two two people, okay? You can be a king or you can be the kingmaker, right? Kingmaker is someone who facilitates the king to be the king, but then you can't be the king, okay? There are a few other things you need to be the king. So even here, there are two sides to this. Either you can be a person who makes use of these models to have a career. Because you don't need to develop these things from scratch, okay? Forget developing a neural network and thing overnight, 2 days, it won't happen, right? But there are a lot of neural networks available. You can have a career using those and developing your product. So that is a different story. Some people may want to develop these things. Then simplest thing is you're developing a data science product, a data science engine, okay? How you cluster that, how you get it onto a horizontal scaling model, that's a different story. Model is there, you use it, is a different story. So you got to decide which way you want to go in this. My company, we have both. I'll explain some use cases. We use both, but we are also not very silly to try to attempt to build all these things on our own. Some of the world-renowned, very reliable deep learning, machine learning, neural network models, they developed over years. They've taken about average 500,000 people to do that, and millions, trillions of data points, right? So that's why you need to understand what you're touching here, right? Suddenly if you say, I'm going to be a person here trying to master the game, you might not even get the opportunity, because a lot of companies, when they talk about artificial intelligence, they are mostly here, okay? Not even machine learning, they're here. That's the problem. So understand this scope really well if you want to step into this game, okay? Let's move on. Next slide. Okay, this is really important. This is not done by me. A very renowned World Economic Forum research. It was done a couple of years back, okay. But when I looked at the latest slide, it didn't give the message very well. So I thought I'll put the same message again. If any of you are trying to be here, mistake. Because these jobs will diminish over time. So according to them, 85 million people are in this right now. Some of you are aiming to be in this, unfortunately. That's the problem, right? About 20 years back, I was here. My start of my career, I was a IT guy, but I did start my career on finance. I did this type of things, right? Bookkeeping, right? Auditing, some of that stuff, right? I also like mechanics. It's one of my hobbies. But these are diminishing, unfortunately. It's not going to be there for the next 3 years, 5 years. What's happening is here, okay? And number 2 is AI and machine learning. That's the game, okay? That's one of the reasons why you should be here and taking an interest to develop your career around these, right? Digital, look at, I mean, the spread is super. The previous slide, AI, big data, digital marketing, process automation, digital transformation. You've got a website for this. Read the entire report, right? This is relevant to Sri Lanka also. This is a split almost 50-50, right? 97-85. If you look at Sri Lanka, this may be like here. Okay? A lot of people are still here. So, unfortunately, you all have got to the fastest career track in the world, okay? IT, technology. You got to keep pace, start running. So I have started running and still running for the last 25 years. You guys are just starting, right? Better pick speed. This is changing, right? When I started, these things were not there, unheard of. Unheard of, some of these things. Digital marketing, never heard of. But now, these are common trends, right? Just imagine another 10 years' time, when somebody like me comes on the stage, these will be here, something new will be there. That's the thing, right? So, got to catch the trend. So which side are you? Dangerous question, okay? Which side are you? What are you trying to create as ambition? Any of these things are okay, right? Just because your friend is trying to do AI, don't try to do AI. It may not suit you because career needs passion. Not everybody should do everything also, okay? So let's move on. So GTN, so this is a slide about us and how we conquered this challenge, right? Our future, we are very clear. We have 9 objectives. The 7th objective is all our products and services will embrace AI. We have lots of objectives. One is being profitable, other one is being agile. We want to have 99.99% accuracy in whatever we do. We want to have a very great career for our employees, so that it's a career of choice. But despite all that, one objective in our companies, we want to embrace AI into our products and services. So we discover a new world than what we had for the last 20 years. Our company is 20 years old. We didn't think any of this at that time, but now we want to revamp ourselves to have a different future. What it means to GTN people is also a bit difficult, okay, at this stage. A lot of people have to relearn this. Now, you guys are learning it for the first time, it's easier to get this. Imagine going and telling someone who has done coding, IntelliJ, probably you'll use it, right? IntelliJ interface. So someone who has done coding for Java. Now we go and say, we don't want you to code the whole thing, right? Use a tool like GitHub, get into co-piloting where the code is auto-generated, right? Some of the classes are rewritten by the code itself. Unit tests are developed to about 90% accuracy. Your job is to just look at it and enhance that code. How do you like that? Okay, so this means a lot to people at that level. So now see, we are not trying to build neural networks there. We're trying to use existing product, but it changes our life. What does this give us? Better accuracy on code, comprehensive code, and proper structured code based on our standard policies and practices, which provide, you know what a better code is, right? We all code, right? We can have millions ways of coding. We can forget the last else condition and make a nightmare in codes. You all know that, right? I've done it. I once crashed an entire system by not writing the last else command. Because it was using shared memory, about 100 people using it. It just went blank, right? But if you use co-piloting based code-driven development, it will pick the else condition. And it will also pick a class and say, these are the probable assumptions that you need to fix that. So this has an impact. We haven't gone very far in this, okay? Still we are trying to convince a lot of people we should use this, right? But that's a transition. For people who are joining, we are asking, do you have this skill? Because in the future, we want people to learn these things. If anybody comes through an interview saying, I've used this tool and my coding I've done with co-piloting, that person has very high chance of moving into the company. So this has an impact, okay? That if you have used models of AI into your business scope that you consider, that guy has a chance to come in more than someone else. So it has an implication. The most difficult implication is relearning this for some of the old people, right? So consider yourself fortunate to be at the right time associating and socializing this topic, right? So how do we do this? It's a bit of a story on the next slides. Okay, so let's move on, right? This is a old ad, so don't apply, okay? We are very bold in what we want to do. We very clearly say, artificial and machine learning will surpass human capability of our products. We are honestly admitting our products with artificial intelligence and machine learning will beat our individual intelligence. we are admitting that, right? Part of this is admitting that this can be done, right? And we are putting AI ML into our products. And this was just to say how committed we are into this topic. This is how we normally place an ad. Just click this fast, okay? This grows like this. Just try to click and see. So when we, there you are. Okay, these things come, right? So keep clicking until you get somewhere here. People did not read it, okay? So we found it difficult to get this going in the company. Don't think that just because I come and talk this topic, it was easy, right? We tried to tell our leads. We tried to tell them there are better ways to work. We tried to get them into a bit of training. Nothing really changed our culture, okay? Finally, we decided we need to gamify this inside the organization where people start relating to this topic. Because we have 350 people, all 350 people should learn this topic. And we needed an injection, right? We were looking for an injection. COVID, remember everybody got the injection, right? Like that, we were looking for injection to do this. So we ran a competition. The footprint of this competition is what it is, okay? So we finished it by 7th of November. But we started with idea generation, then we got into a bit of product development. So it's not just things in paper. People had to come and do a proof of concept. Tell what models they are using, how it can relate to our business, right? We gave people budgets to do whatever they like. And then there was a demo. It was a challenge, okay, with prices. I think the first prize was 1 million rupees, right? Quite significant. But they all had fun, right? And we all went to Shangri-La and looked at all this and had this competition. So one of the challenges for organizations is to kickstart this inside. Look, a lot of companies don't take this very seriously now. They'll realize they're slow in the game and they'll miss the bus in 2-3 years. Why? Few things if you're running a company. A lot of the new engineers will want to ask, do you have AI-based tools inside when you're working in a culture, right? And how can you learn this when you go inside? You're going to ask that. Our clients are going to ask this, right? Whether you like it or not, we are not in Sri Lanka. We are from US to Asia. GTN is not the only company competing to be in a fintech platform with 140 markets, right? So some of our companies are going to come out with AI-based products. So we have to do it better and do it fast. So some companies don't have choice, right? So this is a bit of how we did it, but I'm going to give you a bit of insights. I thought I'll give you insights. Some companies don't give it because it's their IP. They can replicate. I don't believe in that. Whatever that I can share, I will share with few case studies. So let's go to the next slides. So we need to generate ideas if we were to do this, right? A company cannot just set an ecosystem and then we are a very informal organization. Our engineering heads have quite a very high say in how we run the company. You can't just go and tell them from next month onwards everything should be AI. They're going to look at us and laugh, okay? So you got to get a cultural change, right? So while going and doing that competition, we also implemented a very Kaizen-driven practice on continuous improvements and idea generation. So this slide just says we have something called a idea zone. Over the last, not even 1 year, we have now 1,000 ideas. 1,000 ideas coming from the flow. And you can see these are our teams, okay? These are our teams. July was very high, and then it went down. We go and refuel this. It's an ecosystem. And then some teams are better than others, so I'm being very transparent, okay? There are, when you try to do something like this, there are problems. But then all you need is a framework. It will improve over time, right? And all these ideas are not AI. But since our objective, the 7th objective is AI, anything that changes the game on AI, we pick it as a strategic project. So AI projects are strategic. So you apply a filter on top of what's going on, and we take a few strategic projects and we sponsor, because employees cannot sponsor on their own. It's not like automating an Excel worksheet and having connections and getting end-to-end end result based on a complex problem. This is AI needs investment. AI needs a lot of technical input. So you need to handhold projects. So some of the great projects that we ran, still running, I'll give you some insights. Next slide, please. I forgot this slide, okay. Before I go to the projects, you need to reflect on these things. Is this an opportunity or a threat? I think the person who got on stage, he gave a nice wrapper to that, okay? It is a threat. Honestly, it's a threat. Let me explain this, okay? When I was in my 20s, I have a great memory, okay? That is something that I've been blessed as a kid. I remember a lot of things, especially numbers. I have photostatic memory. I don't need to look at a telephone index to dial somebody's number. How many of you have that skill? Up to about 25, I didn't look at a telephone index. I can remember the number, and I get it right. Recall the name, I type the number. Now I can't do it. It's the same me. Now I can't do it. Okay? Today, I thought that's really great. Today I drove from Navala, so I looked at Google Maps, artificial intelligence tool, right? Google Maps. And so that's why I said you all have been using it for a long time without knowing. So it does a lot of processing and says, in this much of time you can go to Kalaniya, right? So I took this Kalaniya road, and then I realized I'm about 30 minutes ahead of time, okay? So then I was passing this Kalaniya Vihara, and I thought, I haven't been there for a long time. Why don't I remove my shoes, go in there, 30 minutes. I did a few things, and then got into the vehicle. Then I thought, okay, I have another 15 minutes. So I took it easy. But when I got into this university, I realized it's so easy to get lost. So I went to some Buddha statue place, and then I got into like a science faculty thing. I asked some security person, he was scratching his head and answering, say, why don't you go there? Then I thought, wild goose chase. So artificial intelligence is an opportunity. I got to Kalaniya, the university, but it didn't solve my problem, okay? Then I figured out A8 must be a common place. Everybody understands. Luckily in my invite, there was A8, right? So I put the shutter down and asked, Malli A8 kohida tiyenne? And then he was giving me direction. I thought, fine, great. I got the link I want. When I went to A8, it was a haunted place. Absolutely nobody. Then I thought, mad, I came to the wrong place, right? Then I closed my eyes and I was thinking, what should I do next now? What should I do next? Then I heard music. Now this is not artificial intelligence, okay? I heard music. I didn't see people. I thought if there's music, there's people. And without taking the lift, I took the stairs to tune my brain to music. Then I realized it's on the top floor, okay? Then I thought 602 should be the 6th floor. Now hotels, that's how they name the rooms, right? Then I was right. But I validated when I came here, is this 602? I was right. So it is a threat as well as opportunity. It becomes a threat if you don't use it and sharpen yourself. I couldn't have timed myself to come here without Google Maps. But after I come here, I had to figure out a way to get the end result, okay? That's what it means. So if you're ignoring AI, it's going to be a mistake. But if you use it as a skill to enhance, sharpen your weapon, it is going to take you to a different place, okay? Do we have a choice? My honest answer, no. If you're living in cosmopolitan city, not the wild, you're meditating, you're not, that's also choice, okay? People can do that. You want to get away from this technology-driven life, it's a choice. Otherwise, it's not a choice. You'll have to take it, right? You'll have to take it. I told you, people who have this knowledge will have better chance of getting selected. In some companies, it's not a choice. People will be smarter by using these tools. Where is the adjustment? Where is the adjustment, right? The adjustment has to be in how you use this to enhance your skill set. Don't think too much on this, okay? You're writing your CV. I'm going to relate it to you all, okay? When you write your CV, you must be, some of you must be applying for internship and all that, no? Or applying for foreign universities, whatever, right? How many of you now go and validate this against ChatGPT before sending it to the person intended? How many of you do that? Now imagine people who do it versus you. Who gets a better chance? And when ChatGPT validates it, it validates it against a global community who has written a similar letter and done the grammar and language right. So I can see this in my company now, okay? Earlier, when they want to say something to HR or the management, it was just 2 lines, right? 2 lines. About complaining about a parking problem, 2 lines, right? Salary issue, 2 lines. Now, it is a story. Why? People are now writing through ChatGPT to us, explaining, you know, very nice content, very good English. Why? People are using the tool. So the adjustment is where you want to use that to enhance yourself, right? Don't try to apply it everywhere, right? If you want to talk to your girlfriend or boyfriend, forget all this, right? But you need to use it for the correct place. That will give you a leading edge. Does it work all the time? No. I can give you 2 good examples where it failed and it was caught as a case study, right? I'm not going to mention names of the companies, but you'll figure it out. Famous airline company thought of using AI to manage a stall in a plane. A stall happens in 2 ways. One is, you see, a plane will climb, right? The plane will climb altitude. And how you climb is by getting wind pressure under the wings through a turbine engine. So the medium to get pressure is the wind, right? Understand, right? Physics. You need the wind to go up. But more and more you go up in the air, what happens? Density of the wind goes down. There's a pressure imbalance, density of the wind goes down, and there's a point, at a certain point, there's not enough air pressure for the turbine to maintain wing pressure, and it stalls, okay? The second scenario where it stalls is, you drop the speed of the plane to a certain level where it cannot maintain the throttle. Because for you to build that air pressure in the wind, you've got to maintain a certain speed. So if you drop that speed, it stalls. Both these are input variables for an AI tool. Not just one pilot doing it, millions of pilots doing it, where the machine can figure out you're about to stall. The problem with the stall is if you're on that high altitude position, you got to go like this and recover your plane. And you have about 40,000, 50,000 feet to do this. A lot of pilots get it wrong. If you're down very shallow and your plane goes to a low speed, only chance is to accelerate and lift the plane, right? These 2 are algorithms. Machines are better than humans in doing this. So they did this. The problem is 2 planes crashed. Catastrophic disaster. And they investigated why this happened, because the pilots could not control the plane, and they were not stall situations, right? They were very good normal situations where pilots could have flown the airplane, but the plane was taking control and trying to do something. They realized somebody eventually, okay, after many months and months of investigation, somebody did not code it right. Instead of the plane going up, the algorithm was actually trying to put the plane down in certain situations, right? And they had to recall that module and reprogram that particular algorithm and the engine, right? Artificial engine that did it. Go and read, it's there. Recent past, okay? Another good example is a car. In cars now you can do self-drive, right? So you can, there are two versions of self-drives in cars. One is where you have assisted drive, where you need to keep an eye and hold the steering. The other one is you can completely stay off the steering, it will just drive automatically, automated driving, right? On a particular one scenario, it was a snowy scenario, white background. There was a container in front, highway. It was also white. Now think about it, okay? For a AI engine, color matters because there has to be a camera. There's a camera taking pictures and analyzing this with previous pictures that were taken. So it needs to now identify the background versus the vehicle, right? And it also inputs certain other things like radar and all that. Unfortunately, with the temperature being very low with snow, even infrared could not differentiate between the background and the foreground. And the car crashed. By the time the car applied certain deep learning level assumptions to apply brakes, it was too late, the car crashed, the guy died who drove the car. It was that minute, exceptional scenario that did not work. And it happens. So when you are doing these models, you got to look at exceptions. And you got to understand where it will not work. If you apply this to a not working situation, it's going to backfire. Your complete career will be in a disaster in some scenarios. What are the drivers of change? I explained. One is competition. You will have to do it whether all these problems are there or not. You will have to do it. One is competition. The other is times have changed. It becomes a norm. So you got to adapt and move on in life, right? Just because I remembered all the numbers 20 years back doesn't mean I can expect that from my son. He might use the phone and do it with all this CLI technology, but that time that he doesn't use to remember, he will remember something better. So you got to get that as a dimension into this, right? Because the world is changing. So you got to look at that. I can talk a lot on the last topic, but I don't have time. So let's move on to the case studies. So this is I'm going to go quick, but you might pick a few cherries when I talk about the case studies. Is this going? The next slide. This is the case study. This is one of the best case studies where we developed an engine ourselves, okay? Don't read in too much if you don't understand. Here what we did is, we are in the stock trading, stock market business, right? We have how many of you trade the market? Can I just get a show of hands? It's absolute disaster. Nobody's trading in the market. Okay, so that's one of the best ways to invest money, honestly, if you ask me. So what happens is there's a share price. That's what millions of people invest in companies, and they have to enter at a certain price and exit at a profit. A lot of people cannot calculate this properly. A lot of people. That's why you have investment analysts and so many people advising people when to enter and exit. So a bot can analyze this with millions of trading patterns and handling historical data. You can say, enter at this price. There's probability that this stock will go up. There's probability. Look at that word, okay? That's important for artificial intelligence. There's probability that it will go up. I can help you to enter at this price, and I'll exit you at the right price. You can write a bot for this, right? And when you write this bot, there are two methods that you can use. One is a self-learning algorithm, where the model self-learns where to exit, right? Or you can use annotations and say, get out at this price. So we didn't use annotations. Annotation is not a good model for this. We used learning algo, where it keeps learning over time based on outcomes and how the overall shares react in the market. So what it does is also pretty interesting. It can exit and also get into another stock and keep increasing your value over time. So we did this first model. It failed because the first model could not analyze multiple stocks, multiple environmental conditions, right? Things like, what happens here is the machine learning algos try to predict the past. You all know that, right? So you got to look at past situations and predict what's going to happen, and it happens with probability. Actually, behind the engine, at one point, there is probability. Probability, it says, with 90% probability, it will either go or it will either fail. And then it shows the end result. That's how it works. So in situations like COVID, in situations like, let's say, the Palestine-Israel war, Russian war with Ukraine, things don't work as you expect, right? So you need circuit breakers. So when we looked at some of the previous models, it did not handle very well, right? So then we got to the second iteration, which did pretty well. But then again, that had problems because we didn't have enough volume to justify how this model works. Now we are in the third model. And we took about 5 years to develop this model. Just imagine this whole thing, okay? But now our model, so these are filtration criteria. The real model that we developed is somewhere here, okay? And over competition, what GTN does really matters at this level. Real-time trade generation. Nobody writes it, so we need to write the engine ourselves. So that's about 5%. That gives us the extra competitive edge over everybody else. So now it predicts, by the way. It plans, it trades, it does all this algo trading, but we are still testing it. We don't want to be another plane which crashes at the wrong time, okay? So that's one model that we are using. Second slide, please. Let's go down. So in this, what we are doing, so we are in here, we are not trying to develop a model. Okay, we are using a model that's out there. What we are doing is this. So, based on our entire population, we have about 1 million clients, right? We can say her portfolio is better than her portfolio. We have enough historical information, data science capability to say she's doing better than her. Okay? So, we can advise her to come closer to her, okay, portfolio wise. So in this portfolio, we are attempting to say, if you're holding these stocks, right, if you're holding 5 stocks, why don't you invest in another 2 stocks? Your investment can get better return. So it gives you that predictive analysis and says, at a certain point, it's time for you to get out and buy something else. Okay, so that's what this model does, right? It has a lot of analytical capability, and we actually promote this product to asset managers, right? We use a lot of AI ML models to do this. Again, we haven't launched it, so you can see, right? Models are there, we are using it, products are enhanced. We haven't fully launched it, right? We need to know whether the robo-advisory, this is a robo-advisory, okay? A robo-advisory that we give is successful compared to a human behind the scene doing the same thing. So far we have seen models are good. These models are capable of analyzing much higher points and much higher data points than a human. And also, I forgot to tell you, a machine has one advantage over a human. Never forgets. Our problem is, although we can remember a lot of information, we also forget, right? AI model will not forget. It can keep adding things, and then it can keep referring to things as history. It will never get bored. You keep on doing it. So because of that, these robotic models have better chance in this particular area, right? Let's move on. One more slide. Click another, please. Another one. Another one. Okay. Oh, you got the whole thing gone. Shall we try it again? Okay, keep it at this level. Okay, so here what we are doing is a bit easy, okay? We have a lot of people asking us questions when we engage with the company. So right now we have a lot of people answering these through emails and hand-holding this situation where we are not very consistent, right? When you have a global model, you need to have a proper consistent service in front to handle your end clients, okay? End clients and internal customers. So what this model does is pretty simple, you all will understand it. It's using something like a ChatGPT 4 version and running a chatbot capability. The difference here is it can trigger actions, right? This triggering of actions is not just coming with output which is text driven. It can trigger certain different calls to our API layer and get a few things done. It's not a real magic, okay? Most of you have interacted with tools like this. I mean, most of our cell phone carriers now, they have self-service, right? You can go, get into an app, pay your bill, upgrade your connection to something else. It's something similar. But this made a whole different capability to GTN in terms of catering to people and their needs, okay? So we use a lot of tools for this, okay? Language chains and things like that. It's not that easy, okay? I'll tell you why it was not easy. So when you try to do this, you try to get historical data, right? And try to feed a model and say, when people ask this, give them this answer. And then the model has to eventually check whether it gave the correct answer. So normally a model at the end of the loop asks, are you satisfied with the outcome? And you're supposed to do yes or no. So that is annotation. If you say yes, the model learns, I gave the right answer. Next time when you ask, it will give the same answer and the probability goes up, right? So in our past data, so past data comes from places like Jira, where we do a bit of what is called run books, okay? And towards the end of the run book, our people are supposed to detail what they really did. That's what's important to the bot, right? But they just write check now. For everything that they complete, the easiest thing is to say check now. And the last thing that the client hears is check now, right? So what happens when you give a bot that mapping? In most of the outcomes, the bot is going to say check now. That's not the outcome you need, right? So you got to clean a lot of things. So that is why it took a bit of time. But this has gone a long way, right? This project has gone a long way. Let's move on to the next one. More. Yeah, forget that. That's just a graphic. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, in conclusion, if you look at our case studies, they are very specific to us, right? So I don't want to give you wrong information that these are the only applications of AI, ML, machine learning, neural networking. That's not it, right? But what I can show you is that, because I can't come on a stage and explain about how cars drive, automated driving, automated flying. I can't do that, okay? So what I can show is that. But overall, the conclusion is, if you are into this tech space, it's a great topic to specialize, okay? It's a great topic to specialize. Even if you want to become a very generic software engineer, QA engineer, BA, okay? You have various streams like, I think you do systems engineering. Be a generic person, but you need to learn this to understand how it impacts your day-to-day work, right? Wherever possible, have an ambition when you're trying to pass out. Have an ambition that you will know this as a subject, then be surprised. That's pretty important, even if you don't want to master this, because it's not everybody's cup of tea, okay? AI, all that is not everybody's cup of tea. You guys have to live a life that you like, okay? But you got to learn how it impacts. And some of you who really want to explore these areas, right? I'm telling you, I've been in many parts of the world. I've gone to universities, I have interacted with a lot of people. Sri Lankans are so good at logic. All of you are blessed to be in a country where you're born to be logical. You're good at mathematics. I've gone to countries where people cannot understand mathematics. Okay, people can't understand English, right? Some people are struggling to understand logic and logic-driven thinking. You all are born with that skill. AI is a very good complementary subfield for people who are very good in logic, analytical thinking, right? So if you have this, don't go and ask your mother, okay? My mother had no clue about who I was until I was about 30 years old, right? So don't go and ask your mother whether you should do AI. You yourself should know, right? Am I good at logic? Do I argue things out before approaching? Do I make a lot of trial and error? Am I good at mathematics, right? Do I solve problems? That's a person who should naturally pick this AI as a topic, in my opinion, right? But that doesn't mean others should ignore it. That's also a strong message that I'm saying, right? So with that, I'm concluding. I hope I'm on time. Am I on time? Yeah, okay. So I'm concluding. I'm happy to answer a few questions, and then I'm on my way out. Okay? So ask some questions if you have. Yeah. Super question. Super question. Okay. Let's go to our first case study. That one with the chart. I don't know whether you can put that up, right? We are actually faced with that problem that you're asking. Even if the model works, we are not very sure whether the model will work globally to every scenario that is played in front of us. So one of the things that we are doing is, behind this is what is called historical data, right? We have about 3 million symbols, and there is something called a ticker, right? Every time something trades, a ticker updates. A ticker update is this, right? That's a tick update. So there's open, high, low, close in any of the ticker points. So that's a data point for you, right? Anybody who wants data science, that's a data point. Open, high, low, close. And then you collect all the tickers with the volume traded. You can't just assume that just because it went high, market is going to have impact. You need to capture the volume. And then you need to capture the trend. Okay? So one of the things that we are doing is cleansing historical data to get it right. You get one data point wrong, it's going to give a seriously disastrous outcome. So that's the first thing we are doing. So one of the things that GTN is doing is getting into serious data warehousing in the next few years, right? It's one of the topics that we are internally socializing and investing as models. Data warehousing, data cleansing, and getting data lineage, all that matters to get this right. And we are also comparing this data source with third-party data to see whether there is mixed signals in this, right? Second thing is, we are not launching this to the market at once. We are giving it to an inner circle first, right? Where we trial this, we compare the results. That's how we came to a conclusion that model 2 was not good. Model 2 would have given us wrong results, right? And also, when you're doing a model like this, you need to look at the full ROI, right? In some markets, commission structure is different to other markets. So the model will work in some markets, but not in other markets, right? So you got to look at that. And we realized in some markets with high commission structures, even if you exit, you're going to make a loss. The model says it's a profit, but the moment you add commission and taxes, you're making a loss. So then you need to feed in commission structures as data structures, right? So all that we are learning. The third thing is, for this type of model to work, you have to stay close to the exchange. You can't have data delay, right? We are operating a network within AWS and some good data centers, tier 2, tier 3 data centers. Still it's not good enough because a delay in getting a tick, right? In a point like this, okay? So how the model works is, the model keeps tracking the growth, okay? The model keeps tracking the growth at the entry point, okay? Based on your preference of investment, it can ignore this and go here, as long as your entry point is not making a loss. It can ignore. So if you entered here, if this bottom is higher than the entry point, it can keep going. But you have to give the learning algorithm to the engine to say, when the trend reverses, you got to consider a sell, right? So if you now delay feeding the reverse market condition through some sort of data delay, imagine, okay? Or some servers going down, downtime. The market is going down, but the algo is still waiting for the next trade, assuming it's a trend, okay? So then that's where you need to get a circuit breaker in, right? So we are now incorporating those circuit breakers and also trying to build in a closer ecosystem to get rid of these delays. So I can speak to you for about a day on your question, but that's what it is. It is not that easy as you think. That is why it's a journey. Companies have to invest now. By the time they really get benefits of this, it will be about 3-4 years, right? Don't expect overnight results. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else? Yeah. Sorry? Yeah. Potential challenges to an organization when incorporating AI to existing systems. First of all, a nightmare. Because if you are into coding, you'll realize something that engineers hate is refactoring. People just hate it because once you have written a system, people want to move on to a new system. They don't want to do this boring thing and just get into maintenance type of work. So when you, especially if we are on high performance systems, right? Most of our servers, if you take servers that are running on the back end, they're already consuming about 90% memory. All bad things to do, okay? So I'm coming on stage and saying my systems are running with 90% memory, about 80%, 90% CPU, right? That's how we run our solutions. Why? Because these are high performance applications. Now, when you try to incorporate AI into that, right, it's a bit difficult because you're trying to add another layer of business logic and also processing. And if you're already running at 90% on memory, CPU, that means your threads are fully occupied, right? Your math coprocessor is also fully occupied. And in our business, our job is to execute and have that processing life cycle below 3 milliseconds. Okay, so when you now try to add another processing layer through AI, you really can't get that short life cycle on trade and get all the other things to work. So incorporating that into an existing product is almost impossible. That's the truth. Okay, almost impossible. But I'm not saying it's impossible, okay? In some circumstances, it can be done. So I can give you this, because we are doing it. So we had a very transactional support system where we get tickets, right? Because we are a production environment, there are a lot of tickets that come for issues, right? Clients complain and we open tickets and we look at our environment through a bit of statistics. Okay, I'm mentioning a name of tool, but don't try to believe that it's the only tool available, right? There are many other tools. We took this tool called Datadog, okay, which is an analytical tool. It's not just looking at statistical ways of what the production looks like. It can analyze and predict things. It has an ML engine inside. So if you feed information to the bot, it's going to give some prediction about what's going to happen to your production environment. So in my past life, not in my company, now in this current company, I'm trying to build that. In my previous company, previous life, okay, we had about 5,000 data points to analyze through a tool like Datadog. What it does is, it uses standard deviation, it uses a lot of learning algos. It says this particular tool, this particular component will crash in another 14 days. It can give you that predictive analysis. Now I'll tell you how this can be incorporated to existing products. Now there's a trigger, right? That AI engine is giving you a trigger. You need to write an interface to restart that server and bring it up before 14 days. That is easier. So now it's not on the transactional cycle. It is on a different cycle where you can get into better predictive analysis based on your tool, AI tool. Similarly, you can give things like robo-advisory, but you may not trigger a trade. You might be able to tell through a tool, your portfolio is going to make a loss. Watch out, right? You may not trigger a trade. So you're not actually giving a direct input to an existing product, but you're giving an indication, right? And in some markets, we can't give indications. It's not allowed. We are regulated. We can't just do whatever we want. So in some markets, you can't go and tell people this is how you should trade your portfolio, because then we are making what is called a market maker situation, right? All people will start selling and then the prices go to a different direction. We'll be in jail, okay? So we can't do that. But the trick is to input these AI-based tools without breaking the existing code. But I feel this will also change over time, because people cannot write new software for everything, right? People will figure things out as they go. Here's one example I genuinely think all IT companies should consider. Get into autopiloting of code so that engineers can generate code, but a bot is validating that code against you. That can be done without changing any existing product, right? So getting into smart coding interfaces, like I can't mention names, I know a lot, but I can't mention names, where it's not just a text editor. You get into a very interactive tool where you're almost coding against someone who's competing, but that's a bot behind. That will sharpen your coding, and it will also get you to think of certain scenarios that you originally did not cover. Things like that can make a world of difference. Any other question? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Oh, that's a tough question. What are the ethical considerations when you want to incorporate AI? So I'm a bit of a human-centric person. Just because AI is coming, I'm not going to fire all my people who are not learning AI. That's a choice for a boss, okay? You want to reinvent the organization, the first thing that I will consider is training people on this new trend, right? About 90% of the organization is not good at this. That's the truth. So you got to invest in people when you do something like this, okay? AI will have job cuts. That's the truth. Because a machine is going to do things faster than you, right? Look at the AI processing capability of ChatGPT 3.5, not 2.0. 2.0 to 3.5, it's that the capability has gone up by a log scale. You can't explain it mathematically. So how are you going to compete with that? So most of the conventional jobs, that the thing that I showed, a lot of people will lose jobs if you apply AI in a simplistic form, right? So if you apply AI for a very ethical company, you got to repurpose your employees into many other areas, right? That's one of the fundamental things that you need to consider. People like secretaries. During my early days of my career, there was a secretary in every office who would do documentation, letter writing. All those jobs are gone. So there's ethical stance there. In my business, there is a business-driven ethical situation. I can manipulate the market with AI capabilities because my spread in the world is quite high. I trade from US to Asia, right? And I trade about 3 million symbols as overall company, okay? And I serve very large financial institutions, which can create a dent in the world, right? I can use AI bot and change the financial markets overnight by market making. As a company, I should not be doing that. Okay, reputation matters. And also, all you need is one mistake to get blacklisted through a regulator. So AI should be used for proper purpose. So any technology is like that, okay? Technology can be used for the wrong reason. As leaders and people who design products, we have to always use it for correct reasons and tune it to a better application. So one of the reasons, now although I say you got to get into code-driven autopiloting, okay? One of the reasons why it's not flying in my company is a lot of the engineers are thinking, if we start this, what's going to happen to our job? Okay? It's an ethical issue. So as a company, we got to convince back. So what's going to be the problem now? I said market competitiveness matters. Most of you, when you come to interviews, in let's say another 3 years' time, you might have used a tool which has autopiloting for coding. So you got to do that anyway, okay? That's the thing, right? When you go into a coding-based interview, or let's say a BA, or a QA, on scripting, or BA who's trying to generate a code, almost a code based on a scope using a tool, that guy is going to declare that capability. So what's going to happen to our guys? That's how you should consider that. So then, as a company, when you have a radical shift in technology like this, first thing is you got to take them through that journey. It's not their fault. So we have to invest in things like that. And one more thing. Now, if you look at a global scale, Sri Lanka is also on a digital, I think a digital drive, right? Digitalization is a theme in Sri Lanka. What's going to happen is you are collecting a lot of data, right? Millions of data, right? Have you seen in films where people have gone and impersonated another person and done digital crimes and things like that? You would have come across, right? There's even in films like Rambo and all that, they sometimes do that, right? You can easily forge a passport. In some of these hero films, you see this, right? It's going to be very common. Some of you will be impersonated as somebody else. Digital crimes is going to increase, right? Your bank account will be used by somebody else. You will be in a court case trying to answer someone else's crime because you are the real person, but someone else has done it through a digital crime. So those are the ethical problems that this will bring. So you can't solve all those problems. You need a lot of law and order to ring fence this as we absorb these technologies, right? But we can't avoid it. Just because there are ethical issues, we may not be able to avoid it. That's what I'm saying. A very good question. Very tough answer also. Problem is data. So that is why in countries like Britain, US, check, if you are really interested in study things like GDPR, you're not supposed to keep data unless if you have a meaningful purpose. Even we operate in those countries, you can't hold personal data. Okay, it's so funny, right? Somebody has called and asked for my telephone number. So we have trained employees on GDPR. Arjuna's personal mobile phone cannot be given. Was the answer given to the coordinator here? How the hell is he going to call me and greet me at the university? I asked that girl. So they say, oh yeah, we have a problem, right? So that's because we are trained not to mismanage personal data, health-related data, personal information. Even if you keep it, you're supposed to delete it. So there are a lot of governance behind this, okay? But in some countries, you don't have it. Now, do we have GDPR in Sri Lanka? Absolutely no. Any other question? Anybody? Maru, super question. Have I done mistakes in my life? A lot. Some I regret, okay. Why am I in GTN? I'll answer that question first. I was at LSEG before, right? I came to GTN. Because this gives me the freedom to do what I want. In another company, probably I can't spend that time with you, right? But I really do what I want. I am a high capable person with a elastic brain. And I can do a lot of things. And when you come to a company which is having a very structured layout, your brain turns off. And you cannot, even if you know something, you can't do it. But in GTN, I get this opportunity to use my brain. And I enjoy it. Every day when I get up in the morning, I want to go in there and do something. And the vision of GTN is very, very interesting. It's pretty simple, but it's interesting also. Anyone can invest anything, anywhere. And we are building a platform for that. Okay? So anyone, in our definition, is anyone who has a phone, globally. So that vision creates a dent in the world, okay? A huge dent in the world, and recreates how people use their money and create wealth. I'm not particularly interested in people who have already made wealth, but anybody who has a phone, to have the ability to convert themselves from who they are to some different people altogether, where their entire life changes, from being someone with poverty to somebody in a different social system. If our company can be a part of that globally, that excites me. And we are considered one of the fastest growing companies in fintech space in the world. That was researched, and that is one of the reasons why World Bank with IFC invested in us. So that's very difficult to recreate if you go and join another company. Okay? And I'm in that wave which is going to change this whole thing. I can see that, right? What's transitioning in the world because of us. So that's why I'm here. Okay? It's a global job. And one of the reasons why I like it is it's not only for me, everybody else who's working in GTN gets the same story. They're all people who carry this story. Have I done mistakes? Absolutely, yes. I've gone and joined the wrong company and walked off my job because I decided I took the wrong choice. I've done that. I was bold enough to admit it and move out. I've fired people in the wrong way, and I regret it. Companies go up and down, but we can't play around with people's life, okay? When you have to go in front of people and say your job is not there from tomorrow onwards, You can't say it without giving them a solution. When I was very young and I was forced to do this, because there was a company where it went down, I was supposed to do the restructuring. When somebody introduced me, he said, I'm good at corporate restructuring. Part of restructuring is reducing the size of companies. You got to do it the right way. And I did it the wrong way. And I learned my lessons. Now this company is so great and people think they're all part of it, and such a huge ecosystem is because of the learnings I had in my first job, right? I can go on. I mean, I've done a lot of mistakes, but the reality is this, okay? We are all going to make mistakes. I tell my senior management, you can be 80% right. I don't expect you to be 100% right. 20% get it wrong. I'll pardon you for that 20%. But by having that freedom to get 20% wrong, you're going to get 80% right. And you're going to experiment and get 80% right without me having to tell you everything. So I like that. So I am a person who believes if I can make mistakes, they can also make mistakes, right? So that's my philosophy. Even all of you, I don't think you will get everything right first time. That's an experience in life. One more thing I'll tell you, I've never repeated the same mistake twice. In 2004, I did a business with a friend of mine, just for the sake of being greedy, okay? I wanted to earn a bit more money because I was building a house at that time. He played me off, and I lost my entire wealth. So think about it, as a person who has got educated, gone to a school and done a degree and an MBA, someone who's close, who's doing business to you, can play you off. And I had to collect my money. These were millions, okay? So that's my money that I earned to build the house, right? The lawyer told me, Arjuna, that those millions, you're not going to collect all your millions. We can collect a bit of that. The rest of the millions that you are not collecting, consider it your PhD. Make sure that money that you don't get, you will earn over the next few years, but by not doing that same mistake. So now when I make an investment or I work with someone, I'm extremely careful. He actually told me one thing. If you're giving money to somebody, at least get it in writing that you gave that money and with the ID and signature. You have not even done that because that person is a friend of yours. So I've been brutally honest, okay? Those mistakes are there in my life. But then, because I did those mistakes, I didn't get caught to any of these scams that happened recently, these pyramid schemes and people coming and asking money. Some people recently, I didn't get caught to any of that. Every time somebody said there's a good scheme or invest, I remember that advice given by my lawyer. So money is safe. Anything else? Time is right, no? Finish. Yeah. So I enjoyed being with you. Very gentle, interactive audience. I hope this was helpful, right? I tried to make it generic as possible because I didn't want to live a very GTN life on the stage. If there's anything, you can always reach us, right? Fire us an email. You want to get some advice, you can always talk to us, right? I don't have any ulterior motives, right? I didn't come here expecting all of you should join GTN, right? I didn't have that thought. What I want is for you all to believe you guys are in a great country, very privileged to be in this university learning this. Try to be a global citizen and try to get into this industry in a way where all of you are going to be successful. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, Mr. Arjuna, I would like to invite you back on stage because we do have something planned for you. So I would like to invite on stage one of the editors-in-chief, Chamelya Hampath, to hand over a small token of gratitude for Mr. Arjuna Nanayakkara for being here at the Department of Industrial Management. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big round of applause to Mr. Arjuna Nanayakkara for that wonderful session that he provided to you. Well, with that, we wind up today's wonderful Nanayakkara. So, you don't get to meet a professional of this sort in your day-to-day life, basically every day. You don't get to meet someone like this. So, we as the organizing committee of Exposition Issue 19 is very grateful for you to asking those wonderful questions and getting your doubts clarified. Definitely that impacted. To the session a whole lot more. So with that, we thank Mr. Arjuna wholeheartedly. And as he leaves the auditorium, we bring our session to a close. So let's remember that the journey does not end here. Let's take inspiration and insights gained today and continue to explore the limitless possibilities. So together, we can shape a future where innovation knows no bounds. So with that, until we meet again on the next adventure, I'm Sonal Paramithana signing off. Keep dreaming, keep innovating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Goodbye for now, and have a great day.